Welcome to our exploration of Sesshu Tōyō, a master of Japanese ink painting. There is a legend about Sesshu. As a child at Hofukuji Temple, he was more interested in painting than reading sutras. To discipline him, the monks tied him to a pillar. Using his tears as ink, Sesshu drew a mouse on the floor with his big toe. The drawing was so lifelike that the monks were astonished, and allowed him to continue painting. Sesshu Tōyō, often referred to simply as Sesshu, was a Japanese Zen monk and artist esteemed as a master of Japanese ink painting. Although he was initially influenced by Chinese landscapes, Sesshu's artwork embodies a uniquely Japanese style that mirrors Zen Buddhist principles. His notable creations include landscape scenes, portraits, and depictions of birds and flowers, all imbued with Zen Buddhist philosophy, characterized by a flattened perspective and bold lines. Sesshu was born into the samurai Oda family, and received his training as a Zen monk at Shokokuji Temple in Kyoto, Japan. From a young age, Sesshu displayed a natural talent for painting, and eventually gained widespread recognition across Japan as a wise and esteemed Zen scholar, and the preeminent painter-priest of Zen Shu. Sesshu honed his skills in a painting studio, under the guidance of Tensho Shubang. However, after traveling to China, his work began to incorporate a distinctive Chinese influence, blending Japanese and Chinese elements to create his unique Zen painting style. Sesshu's impact on painting was so profound that numerous art schools recognized him as their founder. Sesshu Tōyō was born in Akahama, a settlement in Bichu Province, which is now part of Okayama Prefecture, during the Muromachi period. At the age of 12 or 13, Sesshu entered Shokokuji Temple in Kyoto, Japan, as an acolyte under Shunrin Shuto, the head priest of all Zen temples, and eventually became a Zen monk. Shokokuji Temple had a close relationship with the Muromachi government, with the Ashikaga family, the ruling family, being its main supporters. While at Shokokuji Temple, Sesshu studied under Tensho Shubang, who was considered Japan's first great master of ink landscape painting. Sesshu apprenticed under Shubang for 20 years, before leaving Kyoto to reside at a small provincial Zen temple in western Japan, where he was free from monastic and political responsibilities to concentrate on his painting. Funded by a wealthy warrior clan involved in trade with China, which was then under the rule of the Ming dynasty, Sesshu traveled to China in 1467 as part of a Japanese envoy. He spent 3 years in China, visiting Chan monasteries and exploring the landscapes, while studying the works of professional Chinese artists, rather than those of literati masters. During this time, Sesshu had the chance to learn about the realistic styles of traditional Chinese master paintings. Traveling from Ningbo to Peking, Sesshu experienced the vastness of nature firsthand, and studied the original sources of Chinese ink painting. This significantly influenced his subsequent work, which, until then, had been modeled after Shubang's style. After his 3-year stay in China, Sesshu's familiarity with Chinese landscapes became evident in his later works, which exhibited a distinct Chinese influence alongside his developing unique style. In the final years of his life, Sesshu visited Masuda, Japan, where he continued his study of Zen, while also painting and designing spiritual gardens known as Sesshu's Gardens. In 1506, at the age of 87, Sesshu passed away at Tokoji Temple. His remains were then taken to Ikoji Temple, later known as Sesshu Temple, where they were cremated. After Sesshu's death, his student, Shutoku, inherited his studio, Onkoku-in. Sesshu's works are predominantly suibokuga, meaning water and ink paintings. For suibokuga artists, the exclusivity of black ink allowed them to focus on the essential character of the subject. Since Zen Buddhism stresses material simplicity and sensitivity to the natural world. To create his monochrome paintings in diluted grays and black ink, Sesshu used black sumi, meaning charcoal or soot-based solid ink on paper or silk. Thus following the art of sumi-e, some of Sesshu's most acclaimed works include Winter Landscape, 4 landscape scrolls of the seasons in Birds and Flowers, demonstrating his style of flattened space, emphatic outlines, and angular brushstrokes to portray Zen beliefs. Sumi-e painting is a part of the sabi aesthetic in Japanese culture. Sesshu initially learned ink painting techniques from Shubong. However, seeking to create larger-scale works, he traveled to China, where he mastered the South Song style and Zen school of ink art, eventually developing his own unique style. In works like these, he employed sharp lines and stable compositions, introducing a truly innovative approach to Japanese painting. The landscape of autumn features a sense of profound depth with overlapping rocks, 2 figures, a building, and misty mountains. Sesshu conveyed the clarity of an autumn sky by positioning all elements in the lower half of the canvas, leaving the upper half empty. Viewers of his winter scenes often feel the distant cliffs seem to draw closer in the snow-covered landscape, compared to the building and the figure in the foreground. Sesshu effectively highlighted the prominence of the farthest cliff, showcasing his focus on depth. Hukei was a disciple of Bodhidharma, the founder of Zen Buddhism. When Bodhidharma was practicing zazen facing a wall at Shirinji Temple, Hukei requested to become his disciple but was initially refused. To demonstrate his resolve, Hukei cut off his left hand. Moved by this act, Bodhidharma finally agreed to teach him Zen Buddhism. In depicting the austere world of Zen, Sesshu Tōyō employed a distinctive style. The rocks surrounding the figures are drawn with thick, hard lines to convey their determination. The severed hand. Their intense expressions and sharp eyes stand out vividly in the cave. Despite the silence, the scene exudes immense pressure and contains dynamic energy. Amanohashidate is renowned as one of the 3 most beautiful views in Japan. Although Sesshu Tōyō frequently depicted Chinese landscapes after returning from China, he traveled around Japan, capturing its scenery in his art. Over 20 authentic works by Sesshu have been identified, many of which are believed to have been created in his 50s, following his return from China. One notable work portrays Amanohashidate from the east. This piece is thought to have been created between 1501 and 1506. as it includes both the two-storied pagoda of Cheonji Temple and the buildings of Nari-iji Temple. This indicates that Sesshu, then over 80 years old, visited the site to create the painting. The scene is said to resemble an aerial photograph taken from 800 meters. Despite there being no vantage point on the ground that offers such a bird's-eye view, instead of merely replicating the landscape, Sesshu reconstructed it from an elevated perspective. He utilized rough brushstrokes of dark ink alongside softer, more fluid ones, conveying a quick momentum. There are indications of redrawing and labels of temples and shrines, but no signature, suggesting it might have been a draft. Nevertheless, the expansive, solid composition and the freedom of expression are distinctively Sesshu's. This work is a masterpiece, showcasing his lifelong endeavor to unify the worlds of Zen and painting. It is believed that the landscape painting was discovered in the drawing room of Sesshu Tōyō's house in Yamaguchi after his death, with a text of praise inscribed on it. This commendation serves as both a tribute and a memorial poem to the master of ink painting. Bokusho Shusho, a close associate of Sesshu, wrote the initial praise, mourning his death. Ryoin Keigo, who knew of Sesshu but had never met him in his later years, added a commemorative poem after Bokusho's death. The painting, though lacking the dynamism of Sesshu's peak years, reflects his somber demeanor and advances the Sansui style in his later period. It might be the final work left in the studio with Shusho's endorsement. Sesshu's emphasis on Zen Buddhism, personal interpretation, and economical expression in painting was the basis of his legacy for succeeding Japanese artists. Subsequently, his rendering techniques were widely used by 16th-century artists, notably those who attended Sesshu's painting schools. So that's all for today. If you liked the video, please push the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you in my next video. Bye.